Sportsline podcast. I'm Andrew Damelin, sitting in for Bubba O'Neill. So excited to talk ball with today's guest. He was a Hamilton Honey Badger. He made the Final Four with the University of South Carolina. He's represented Canada's men's basketball team. He's currently a guard with the Vancouver Bandits, and he was my broadcast partner for the Raptors 905. His name is Duane Notice. Duane, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Nice to be back talking with you, Andrew.
Yeah, it's been too long, and I'm so excited to get into the NBA playoffs. As you might know, there's a Hamilton hero about to head to the NBA Finals, and we're going to talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but I want the audience to get to know you just a little bit. You're from Toronto, and I want you to go back to those days, maybe the St. Michael's days, maybe a bit before. What's your first vivid basketball memory as a kid growing up in Toronto?
My first vivid basketball memory, it goes prior to St. Mike's. I would say the Raptor Ball, when Vince Carter and Antonio Davis had that house league thing they were doing. I'll never forget putting on those reversible jerseys. That's the league where you're allowed to travel, take a couple double dribbles, lower rim, but that was the first time I really fell in love with the game, having Vince Carter be local and kind of showcase basketball at a high level. I think that was one of my favorite memories, having the little Fisher-Price type hoops where you could be able to, get picked up and dunk with your parents, and I think for me that was one of the more memorable moments of my life.
So you quickly ascend through the ranks. You have an incredible high school career. You go to South Carolina. You play with guys like Sindarius Thornwell, who made the NBA. You had a great G League career as well. And as I'm watching the Thunder play, and I talked about how we're going to get to Shai, but there was one player on the Thunder, and it finally kicked into me after Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals that reminds me so much of you. Can you think of the player I'm thinking of on the Thunder that is, to me, Duane Notice personified?
Are you talking about Lou Dort?
I am not talking about Lou Dort. One more guess.
Who would it be? I'm trying to think now. I'm blanking.
Alex Caruso.
My God, my SEC brother. Yes.
Okay, you went to Texas A&M. You played in the SEC, and I remember I interviewed you a few years ago in my Mississauga radio show where you talked about wanting to be the guy to stop the best player on the other team in the G League. Yeah. And not only that, but Alex Caruso was guarding Rudy Gobert and Nikola Jokic, and you were guarding, I remember, on the Celtics G League team, you were guarding Taco Fall, who was 7'5". Yeah. So you are willing to guard anybody. Where did that sort of dog mentality, whether it's in your upbringing, whether it was Frank Martin, your head coach at USC, whether it's Kyle Julius now, another sort of hard-nosed coach, or whoever it was, where did this mentality of wanting to guard the best player on the other team or anyone on the other team come from?
A lot of places. I think you mentioned it already. I've been fortunate to have a lot of coaches and tutelage from these mentors that put me in great positions to always thrive. But for me, just being a kid from Toronto, I think it's a pride thing. I understand that in basketball, not everybody can be a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander when it comes to offense. So for me, I always wanted to see how can I make a difference and an impact on the game on both sides of the court. So defense is something I always took pride in, and I think it's an effort thing. It doesn't matter how tall, how big, how small you are, but it's a matter of commitment. And I want to know that the guy beside me has the same type of desire to stop their man. So for me, I want to be able to impact the game on both sides of the court, and I always took pride on defense because it got my offense going as well. And just being the head of the snake, like you said, when I played for Frank Martin, him recognizing that, when I played for Kyle Julius and them bringing out that tenacity in me, just that pit bull mentality, I think it's something that I carry with me everywhere I go, and it's so infectious, right? Like when you see someone on your team, even on the team that I'm playing on now, when I see guys picking up full court, when I see guys fighting through ball screens, talking at a high level, it just really reignites the offense on the other end, and it makes the team better as a whole. So I always take that challenge, man. I want to be able to stop the best player because I love the game of basketball, and I'm always, enamored with some of the guys and the skill set, and I want to think about ways I can, cut their water off, as we like to say. So for me, I'll always be a guy that takes pride in playing defense no matter what. Plus, for the younger players out there that are listening, again, some like me, I've been on teams where, I score 20 points a game and been on teams where I don't score 20 points a game. But the reason why I'm always able to play a lot of high minutes is because of my ability to defend. So you want to be able to stay on the court at the end of the game. I think you have to take pride in defense.
So that's the first thing that comes to the best defender's mind. It's an effort thing. It's a mindset thing. But these days in the NBA and in the CEBL, defense is complicated. There's guys switching. There's guys tagging up. There's guys making all kinds of reads during, especially a playoff series when things are constantly changing. How have you developed that side of the defensive end of the floor?
Honestly, I think it's preparation. A lot of that work gets taken into account for prior to even stepping onto the basketball court. So scouting report, meeting with coaches, having a good sense of game film and understanding what it's like to defend your player. Like I'm psychotic. I'll be counting dribbles, how many dribbles a guy takes before they cross half, before they like to, hit a certain counter. So I think that's the beauty of the game is understanding players' tendencies. So when you talk about the different terminologies, tagging up, you might guard one player where you have to, ice a ball screen on this side of the court because you want to force them to their weaker hand. But now when you're switched on to a different player, maybe his tendencies are different. So you have to be able to adjust on the fly. And that's one thing I love about basketball. It's like a chess game. So when you have that high IQ and you're able to study the game at a high level, it makes it way easier to make those reads in real time. But for me, I think all the preparation is done mentally prior to stepping onto the court.
One word you used in there, psychotic. This is an affectionate term that people give to those that are especially obsessed with the game. They're psychos. In your evaluation of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you played against him. I was trying to look up, was there a time you played against him? And there's at least one documented game. It was August 2019 where you played a green-white game at the OVO Center and you had 26 points and Shai had 21. Could you see that psycho in him in that game? What was that experience like? Because that was the year, that was after his rookie season, I believe. What was that experience like playing against Shai before he really became Shai?
Man, I feel like I said this with the Caruso thing to you before, where everyone's like, that's Caruso. I'm like, I saw it in university. With Shai, again, prior to even that game that we had, I think just seeing him prepare for games, like his training regimen is second to none. Like I talk about myself in terms of my work ethic, but it's always great when you're able to step into these rooms with other people who kind of match that or even elevate it. And he's someone that is relentless when it comes to his training. So seeing the amount of work and effort that he puts in, I remember him, like you mentioned, being in his rookie year. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Sam Cassell at the time was coaching for the Clippers, and he came up to Toronto that summer and helped work out Shai throughout that whole summer at Humber Lakeshore, and just watching what they were going through and seeing how detailed he was with his workouts. I remember him working on those bumps that he utilizes now so much, to the point where he doesn't get offensive fouls, but he's able to get that defender off of him and create that space for his pivots and his shots. And I think that is something that I talk about when I speak about his ability to kind of score the ball, is just his attention to detail in tight spaces, but also his work ethic. I think he works on his pivots, his footwork so much. His handle is crazy. His shot obviously has gotten extremely better. So when it came to that game, it's like, you see the potential there. He has all the intangibles. He could, handle the ball. He can get guys open, high IQ player. The length is there. The athleticism is there. But he also has that cool, calm, collective kind of just confidence that I think that a lot of hoopers wish they could have. They call it that aura, I guess they say. So for him, I saw it from a very young age, and it's cool to see how it's kind of developed and it's producing right now, and to see him on the biggest stage for every hooper who has a dream of playing at the highest level. I think it's incredible.
I love listening to his interviews and his press conferences because he's always the player of the game, and he's always getting asked similar questions, and he's always gives the interviewer the respect of a thoughtful answer and the maturity that he's shown in this process. I mean, he's only 26 years old, but he's clearly the leader of this team. You've just turned 30 years old. You've, at some point, transitioned from guy trying to learn from the old heads to, I don't want to call you an old head, but you're a leader in every stop you've had for the last few years. What goes into, in terms of your leadership process and your transformation, at what point and what lessons did you take to become someone that another person can look at and be that leader for them?
I think it comes with experience. That's the first thing. Like, being able to be respected as a leader, you have to put in work. You have to actually have gone through a lot of things when it comes to your basketball career, just life in general. But I've had a lot of great leaders growing up, and I just try to take heed from whatever they taught me. I'm more of a guy that likes to lead by example. So I like to do things the right way as much as possible. 9 times out of 10, I try to do things on and off the court as best of my ability so that the guy beside me can understand this is the proper way to how to, maybe abide by these type of philosophies, and you'll be successful. And it's not to say it's right or wrong, but that's just how I operate. And then when it comes to, as I've gotten older, I've been able to use my voice and find my voice more. So now I'm a little bit more vocal. I'm able to pull guys aside on and off the court and tell them, hey, man, well, I did this and this wasn't effective for me, or if you look at that. And I think also, Andrew, having the benefit of being hurt, man, like, it's a beauty in disguise. Obviously, I had a crazy injury, and I hated it, and it took me out the game for a long time. I felt like the sport that I loved and that's provided for my family and myself for so long was just stripped away from me. But it also allowed me to take time and see the game from a different viewpoint, and now my perspective is different, so it's able to slow the game down, and now it's like, I won't call it easier. It's definitely not easier, but it's simpler, if that makes sense. So now it's more... It's slowed down to the point where I'm able to really tell guys, like, okay, this is what I saw on this read, this is what I saw here, or this is what I think you should include into your regimen, into your process to help you be better, because I've seen other players like you do this or do that. So I think it just comes with experience, it comes with time, it comes with practice, but it also comes with just the ability to step up to the plate and just embrace being a leader.
You mentioned your injury, 2020, you tear your Achilles and your calf in the CEBL bubble, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, we've talked about the recovery you've had, and lots of players mentioned how it's at least half mental and half physical getting back. And, listen, SJ didn't have an injury similar to yours, but he missed significant time during his third or fourth season as well with an ankle injury, and perhaps he gained some experience sort of watching from the sidelines as well. Coming back now, you've been back, quote unquote, for this is your third full season back from the injury. The
Yes.
mental hurdle now, are you fully past it, and is it just about basketball now, or is it still something that's hovers around in your mind as you play?
I think it always hovers around. It's like anything in life. You take a step and you kind of fall down, and then you got to be able to get back up, right? So it's fighting through adversity. Something that I've been living by recently is that adversity is a privilege. So being able to go through problems, I think, is something that we have to endure to become better as people on the other sides. So yeah, injuries suck, but it's a part of the game. We realize that, and you have two choices. You either got to sit there, sulk, or you could also get better. And for me, I think the most effective way is to remove yourself from the situation. Think about other ways you can help your teammates and help your team in general on the sidelines, off the court. And in doing so, I think that the basketball gods will reward you, and you'll be able to kind of, bounce back from that. But yes, it's definitely something that's like a traumatic thing, and it stays in my mind, specifically, Andrew, because I feel like after I had my Achilles rupture, I've been seeing so many more Achilles ruptures, whether it's in the NFL or in the NBA. So now it's to the point now where sometimes when it happens, I kind of, and I'm like, yeah, like Jason Tatum, for example, I literally dropped a tear when it happened, not because I'm the biggest Jason Tatum fan. Like, we got Duke out of there on my route to the Final Four, so I don't care about them like that. But just knowing that, man, non-contact injury, playing a great game, because I was having a great game as well in the CBL when it happened. And it's just like, now you start playing through your mind, what are the things that I did wrong as a player as to why that happened? And it's like, yo, you took that same step 1,000 times that day. So I think for me, when I see stuff like that, it makes me remember of how far I came. So it's like, it's a reminder. It doesn't really go away. And then the last thing I would say is going through a traumatic injury or going through an injury in general, it conditions you to how to change and approach the game differently. So I've always taken my pregame seriously when it comes to my nutrition and my training and stretching and post-recovery. But after getting injured, you dial it up to another level, and you become obsessed with the process of recovery. Now it's like, okay, after practice or after games, there's no ice around. No, I'm going to figure out how I'm going to be able to get this cold plunge in, or get this ice in, or be able to get opportunity to see my RMT, or be able to, okay, we're in the hotel. No, I have to get this lifting. Except I don't lift, and I'm not able to, condition myself to be able to take on the load management that I'm going to be having in the force in these games. So I think it taps into a different mental psyche for yourself, where it's like now you have to really pay attention to your body and listen to your body and your mind in the process.
Okay, so that's where you are now. I want to get to the Shai viewing experience, because he's someone who looks incredibly explosive, but he's also he's not trying to dunk on guys either. I'm not sure if he's thinking about an injury or not, but he's very calculated in all of his movements. He doesn't seem to be extending himself too much, and it's just a beautiful thing to watch him operate in the mid-range. What is your SGA viewing experience like? Because when I sit down, I'm just like with the mid-range stuff all the time. What's your experience like when you're watching him in these playoffs?
I think I'm relieved, and that might be an intriguing word that I'm using to people who are listening right now. But we talk about the game of basketball and how it's evolved, and now we're in this like stalemate place where it's, a lot of threes, and I feel like no one had. I grew up in a time where I watched basketball in the late '90s and early 2000s, where everybody had a different identity. Vince Carter was different from Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson was different from Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce was different from LeBron James. Like, all these players had different skill packages and different tendencies, and nowadays it feels like every player goes to the same trainer and everybody has the same bag, as we say. When it comes to Shai, it's like I feel like he's kind of just breaking the rules when it comes to the traditional style of how players are playing nowadays. It's like his ability to play at all three levels but not rely on the three-point shot, I think is something that we need to really take heed to. Yes, we love Steph Curry and his ability to explode from the three-point line, but man, when you're able to score in that mid-range area like a Kevin Durant, or like how so many guys, Michael Jordan used to do back in the day, Kobe Bryant, I don't know, it's just a different part of basketball that excites me. And I think he's a basketball savant, right? So someone that's able to really showcase his abilities, but on different, angles and methods. And I think when you really pay attention to how he plays, if you're a fan of the game, you really appreciate it and you really think it's exceptional because he's doing something that's different. It's unique, but it's also effective. And he stays true to himself. Like, every game he's able to make these reads and he's able to, I'm going to take a mid-range shot because I don't care what analytics say. Nowadays, I feel like analytics, I love movies, Andrew, so Moneyball, when it comes to Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill with the baseball stuff, I feel like basketball now, everybody's, harping on analytics, plus and minuses. Oh, mid-range, that's a bad shot because we'd rather get a guarded three-pointer in the corner because it's worth more. But no, Shai's like, I'm going to take the best shot that's available and this is what I work on, so I'm going to be effective at it. So I like the fact that he's able to stay true to himself, and it just shows. And it's like he's having fun out there playing, and all his teammates, they're electrified by it. And as a fan watching it on TV, I really take pride in seeing that.
And from an analytical perspective, he shoots 50% from the mid-range in these playoffs. So he's, even from an analytical and aesthetic perspective, it's amazing. And there are a couple other Canadians still alive in these playoffs the one guy that I really appreciate his game on the Pacers, Andrew Nembhard. So this guy to me is always under control, and his stats always increase come playoff time. Always seems to make the right play, and that he's got a mid-range game too as well. How much do you like from him and from Benedict Mathurin as well? He played lesser of a role in these playoffs as well. But Andrew Nembhard, let's start with him. What do you like about his game? What do you see from him?
Well, again, another Vaughn guy, so shout out to Vaughn. Just growing up with him, seeing his process, and I'm not going to lie, I expected him to be great, but it's the way he's being great, which I mean, man, he's definitely added to his game, right? Because in university, of course, we knew him as a guy that would make open shots, as a guy that would definitely find his teammates. Like, whenever I'm playing around him or with him or against him, or when I watch him play, he's someone that you're going to be spoon-fed. Like, he's going to get you the ball in the places that you want to get the ball to. His IQ is very high, and he's a great playmaker. But his ball handling ability since he's joined the Pacers, and every year I feel like he's taking a step towards just adding to his bag. Like, I remember I don't know if it was game 3 against the Knicks, but he did, like, literally the first person in the game after the jump ball, he got it. He did like a tween, punch dribble, step back 3. But I'm like, damn, Drew, I didn't know you had that. Like, respectfully, because again, like you said, he's always making the right play and the right reads, but now it's like he's getting more comfortable and adding some more tools to his game. So it's cool to see, because like you said, he's always under control, man, and he always makes the right reads, and you can see that he's selfless. And in turn, him being selfless, you just see the aggression in him, just the basketball guys just rewarding him, man. Every time the playoffs come up, it's like he's one of the key factors, the X factors, and one of the main guys. And it's like if he doesn't have his, a few assists or his few clutch buckets, and they're not winning. So then I love that he's intense on defense too. So again, I just think it's like a combination of all those things, and I'm happy for Andrews to see his success right now.
Yeah, he's having an incredible playoff run. And listen, Mathurin not having as good of a playoff run, but he's from Montreal, I believe. He did impact Game 4. Actually, he came in for 9 minutes, had 9 points in 6 minutes or something like that. So yeah, he's definitely someone that Rick Carlisle goes to. And he's an incredible head coach, by the way. He's looking for a second title. And if Indiana can get by the Knicks in Game 6, then there'll be plenty of Canadian content coming up in the final. You, right now, are... Yeah, have you played for the Bandits yet this year? Have you entered the games yet for the Bandits this season?
Nah, it should be next game. I'm probably getting to suit up. Like we just talked about dealing with injuries. I just came from my previous season, torn muscle in my foot, but I've been recovering, so I'm back to full health now. So we suit up today. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to get in there. But we've been rolling, right? So I'm also a guy like we just talked about it, Andrew. I've been able to kind of help from the sidelines and also be like an extended coach of Shai Gilgeous because I've been around him for so long. So I know the type of things that he wants out of the players and all the things that he expects from the guys. So it's been cool because I've been able to kind of take on a different kind of leadership role while I've been recovering. But now I'm excited to get back onto the court.
Yeah, you're in Edmonton. Your team is undefeated. We hope to see you tonight. And if not, then to contribute in every way you can, as I'm sure you will, with the team. So listen, Duane, as always, another podcast for us in the books. I enjoy this time so much. Can't wait to catch up offline. And good luck tonight and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And man, love this opportunity. I always love talking ball with you. And then when it comes to the finals, like you said, so many Canadians. So I'm just patriotic and happy that we have so many different choices to support when it comes to who will take home the NBA championship this year.
Appreciate you, Duane. All right, that is Duane Notice of the Vancouver Bandits, and that is your Sportsline podcast for the day. If you know an athlete, team, or event to promote, the Sportsline podcast wants to hear from you. Please hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe button. If you have something to say, please comment. For everyone behind the scenes that make the Sportsline podcast possible, thank you, and we will see you next time.